and welcome to Art on the Farm with Mia Sage and Jan, brought to you by the Monroe Area Council for the Arts. Today, we're going to be looking at egg decorating. Now, of course, there is a certain season in the United States when egg decorating is incredibly popular, and I love to go out and hunt Easter eggs. I know that I'm a little old for it, but that is one of my very favorite things to do. In fact, when I had my, 30th birthday party, all of my kid friends and I got together, and that is what we did. We hunted Easter eggs. So I love a good Easter egg hunt. But also, as we look into the history of the Easter egg, we see that the egg itself is known all around the world and is of course common in many cultures. And so because many people with holiday traditions were forced to use what they had because they couldn't just go to the store and buy something, you see a lot of crafts and a lot of uses for an egg. Now, in a traditional style of blowing out an egg, you would take a real egg. This one's plastic, but you would take a real egg and you would drill a hole in the end. You would poke a hole in the end, and then you would stick a little straw in there and blow and get all of the contents out of the inside of the egg, so that all that was left was the shell. And then that shell could be dyed and decorated. Now, I have a friend from Ukraine, and she says that now in Ukraine, that you would see an egg decorated in a variety of ways, really throughout the year, even though Easter is the common season that eggs would be out on display. One of these reasons for the Ukrainians is a style of egg decorating called the pisanki. Now, these eggs are decorated with meaning. They are decorated with certain meanings and different symbols that have a wide variety of history to them. And if you are interested in studying this more, a children's book author and artist who is also a pisanki decorator is Patricia Polacco. Now, Patricia Polacco has an interesting heritage because one side of her family was Jewish as she grew up, and she had the opportunity at one point in her childhood to grow up with her grandmother and her grandfather, her babushka grandmother, and her grandfather, and she was able to experience the culture of her mother's family. And part of that was learning this tradition of this art form that's traveled throughout the ages, from grandparents to their children to their grandchildren, and then passed on. Just like oral traditions and stories that are passed on from generation to generation. So when you look at the deep heritage of that particular form of art using eggs, then you can see some of those influences in the artwork of Patricia Polacco. If this is something that interests you and you would like to see the beautiful art form, there are two books that are featured that you may really like to watch and listen to or read yourself. One is called Radchinka's Eggs, and the other is called Chicken Sunday. And in Radchinka's Eggs, Patricia Polacco was actually inspired by her own babushka. So look up Radchinka's Eggs and get it and read it from your local library, or Chicken Sunday, and you will see the influences of the eggs in her illustrations and in the stories for both of those books. Now, our eggs are not going to be nearly as challenging as doing a traditional pisanki. we are just going to be playing around with some eggs. So a few options for your next holiday, or a few options for when you're just wanting to enjoy a nice craft project. One is, in more recent years, they have developed egg rollers. This is a very popular brand called the Eggmazing. And then this one is a less known brand that serves a very similar function. So with these, you would use a Sharpie or an off-brand of Sharpie, but permanent marker. Okay. You just place the egg within the gripper here. This is a plastic egg designed to be colored. Turn on the switch, and it's going to rotate that. Then you'll take your permanent marker and just set the tip of your marker against the egg. To give your color. I do have to warn you that most of my adults and kid friends who have worked with these get very hooked on these. I'm going to put that closer so you can see. Okay. Now, in the same way, you just set an egg down on the rollers for this style. And by the way, this brand that I found online was called Clever Kits, in case you were wondering. They make it as a bunny and as a chick, and it's called a whirler. A whirler. When you turn on the switch for the Eggmazing, you'll find that a lot of times the plastic ones will kind of roll off of the rollers. So you have to really have some patience. It does move faster, and a nice gentle hand. When you get over to the edges, you'll see that sometimes it'll get unstable. Every once in a while you have to stop it, put it back where it goes, and go again. For those of us who do not have a whirler, Sharpie markers can be great for just decorating an egg. And doing your own design on the egg. Just make sure that before you touch the area that you've worked on, that you let it dry. Also, some companies now are creating eggs that already are like a coloring book. So the circles were there and all I did was fill it in. This particular design was from Michaels around Easter time. Online, you can find them. These two we decorated. This started as a natural color. So online, you can find it as wood. This is wood. A lot heavier. The heavier wood works great in this particular thing. You can also find it real wood that's been polished and painted white. So your colors are really nice and vibrant when you're finished. Just to show you the difference between the plastic when it's finished and the wood that is white and polished. when it is finished. Beautiful quality there. And then finally, you can also find online and in the right season in the store eggs that already have a light color base, plastic, and you can decorate it with markers from there. If you're wanting another option to decorate an egg, you've already drawn on some, you've got a few others, and you're like, you know, I want to try something different. Something else neat to try is to take a plastic egg, some clear wrap or cellophane wrap, plastic wrap from the kitchen, pull off a big section, and put a drip, maybe 3 drips, of 1 to 2 colors on the plastic wrap. Remember to keep in mind that this can be messy. So I'm going to put my egg right in there where I did a little too much. I'm going to add a drip over here as well. Okay. Then I'm going to very carefully wrap this around the egg. Once I get a nice firm grip around the egg, and I'm pretty sure that it's not going to squish out all over me, then I'm going to squish my wrap all around the egg. Be careful with this step and remember where it all came together. Once you have color all around your egg, which may take a minute or two, even though I was quite sure that I had my fingers all around it, I'm getting it on me, which is part of the fun. Now, in certain places, I'm going to pinch it up. And if you would like to have a really good, I guess, solid variation, then you would leave that overnight and let that set. But for now, I want to show you the really neat, almost tie-dyed texture that all that squishing does to the egg. So once you leave it overnight, it allows it to really stay on the egg better than if I were to take it out right now. So I'm going to wrap him back up. I'm going to squish him again. And twist the end, and I'm going to leave that somewhere where everybody knows not to be touching on it until tomorrow. Now, just because it sat overnight, tomorrow you may go to get it out and realize that it's still wet. So make sure you allow yourself enough time. Don't be pressured. Don't start this project and say, "Ooh, I need it tomorrow." Okay, but allow for enough time. You can check it tomorrow if it needs another day. That's fine. Probably if it's not quite dry at the end of the day tomorrow, you're probably pretty good if you want to get a hair dryer and just very lightly dry it a little bit, help it out some. But don't be surprised if you get some on your hands. It's that's part of the fun. I hope that you enjoyed learning about a few different styles of egg decorations. If you are interested in learning about the specific art form of Patricia Polacco's heritage, then please pick up the book Rodzinka's Eggs or Chicken Sunday at your local library. Thank you so much for joining us for Art on the Farm with Mia Sage and Jan, brought to you by the Monroe Area Council for the Arts, and we will see you next time. Bye!